Hello, everyone. This is Brett, and thank you for tuning in. Today's video is going to be a tribute to Sinéad O'Connor. Before we get started, if you're new to my channel and have yet to subscribe, please click the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and we look forward to interacting with you in the comments section. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce my special guest today. I have with me Mr. William Frederick, host of the High Arts on the Edge YouTube channel and Facebook page. William has had some incredible guests talking about music. He's had recently Dean and Sean from the band Luna. He's had David J. from Bauhaus Love and Rockets, legendary photographer Brian Griffin, Mark from Spiritualize, and he's got a whole calendar of upcoming guests on his channel. I will leave a link in the description for all of William's bric-a-brac. Thanks for joining me, William.
Brett, thank you for opening this up, and I greatly appreciate it. And I shall say to the audience that part of my inspiration for the page that I run actually derives from the work that you have done, the yeoman's work that you've done over the years, along with Tim Burgess from the Charlatans. And so I just wanted to say and give you a nice nod there that I appreciate all the time and effort that you put into informing and educating and entertaining your fans. And I've definitely have been a fortunate recipient of all the time and effort that you put into your work. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, William. So what William and I are gonna endeavor to do today is to run down each of our 25 favorite Sinéad O'Connor songs. I'm just going to give a really brief introduction to Sinéad's music, or to her. Born December 8th, 1966 in Dublin, Ireland, died at the age of 56 on July 26th of 2023. 10 albums, several compilations, many collaborations, and absolutely touched the hearts of millions around the world, including a teenage me in the late 80s. I'm hoping throughout this video that you will discover some songs that maybe you were unfamiliar with in her catalog. William and I will both make separate playlists with our 25 songs, which you can find links for in the description. So we're just going to get started. I'm going to hand it over to William. We're going to start at number 25 and work our way backwards.
So I thought long and hard, how do I want to kick off our conversation? And the tremendous task on picking 25 of some of her best work. What an honor to do this. So I'm going to start in Dublin. Little movie came out by Neil Jordan, Interview with the Vampire Neil Jordan, and The Crying Game. And he did a movie called Butcher Boy, 1997, based on the Patrick McCabe novel. And it's about a boy that kind of runs amok in the small town. And Sinéad O'Connor plays a small role in it. But at the very end, the song Butcher Boy comes up. And you realize, oh, okay, well, that's Sinéad O'Connor. And the lyrics, so sharp. And I don't know, have you seen the movie Butcher Boy?
If I have, it's been over 2 decades.
Well, it's so great because it's so fitting, because the boy, the protagonist, is very, he's kind of a whirling dervish. He's a tornado, a force to be reckoned with. And that's kind of Sinéad O'Connor. I'll get more into that later. So that is my 25. That is number 25, Butcher Boy, from the movie Butcher Boy soundtrack.
Excellent choice. I also want to mention too that William and I had agreed to include guest appearances, collaborations, not just from her albums. So we opened it up to a lot of different things. My number 25 pick is going to be from the 4th album, Universal Mother, from 1994. The album track, John, I Love You. Such a beautiful song. It's on Universal Mother. You can also get it on the So Far Best Of compilation. I love it. Halfway through, when the acoustic guitar really kicks in and you hear those deep bass piano notes. Just incredibly moving, a beautiful song. Number 25, John, I Love You.
That album, particularly some of those songs, the production is astonishing. And how they raised John Reynolds' percussive work, that is a standout. So great pick there. Love it. 24?
Yep, number 24.
I'm going to go to the album that pissed a lot of people off. Am I Not Your Girl, 1992. And there's a song on there that is called Scarlet Ribbons. And this is one of those defining moments to me, or one of the great aspects to Sinéad O'Connor. And there are 2 or 3 of them. Okay, so here's one of them. When I was listening to her music, does it have that Sinéad moment? You know, that moment that kind of elevates the song through her vocal work? Or does it elevate it in a way that almost leaves you in tears without her being over the top? And so Scarlet Ribbon does that to me. And I think this album is a little misunderstood because it came off the heels of obviously the Grammy Award winning album I Do Not Want, I Haven't Got, and a lot of cover songs, obviously. But when you listen to this song, Scarlet Ribbon, there's some lyrics here. Through the night, my heart was aching. Just before the dawn was breaking, I peeped in on her pillow lying there, lovely ribbons, scarlet ribbons. Now, even though she had not written that track, you could almost see her writing these lyrics. So that's my number 24, Scarlet Ribbons.
Great choice, William. It just this is something I was going to address later on, but it just comes up immediately. When you think of like someone like Sinead, wrote the majority of her songs, but obviously a lot of people know her for one of the biggest cover songs of all time. A master at making other people's songs her own, like living them and breathing them and turning them into emotional masterpieces. And we're obviously going to get to that as we go through our list here. Number 24 for me is from the 2003 compilation, She Who Dwells. If you're unfamiliar with this is going to get addressed in my list several times during this video. Fantastic double CD with a lot of non-album tracks on disc 1. Disc 2 is a live recording. So my number 24 pick is Brigadine Diana, the song that she had written as a tribute to Princess Diana after her death in 1997. It's just a stunning, beautiful little song. Number 24, Brigadine Diana.
I'm glad you flashed this album because this is a must own.
Absolutely.
Particularly the DVD part of this. It's a beautiful, I think it's live at Vicar Street or something like that. And it's very, it really shows what she claimed herself to be, a performer. And so you really get a nice lens into that. Great pick.
Thank you.
23
okay. For you.
23. Let's go to the collaboration work. So there's a gentleman, Ja Wobble, Mr. Bassman, that collaborated with her. And when I hear those opening, that dum, 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 I just go, man, this song, you feel it, the intensity of it, and that's Visions of You. And one of the most beautiful aspects to this song is that when Sinead when she collaborates with people, sometimes her voice can be in the background, a really nice compliment. On this song, I loved how they did the reverb and giving her that haunting quality to it. So Visions of You, Ja Wobble, with Sinead O'Connor.
Great choice.
23.
My number 23 is also going to be a collaboration, so we're lining up there. I have to thank my wife Sarah for this one because it was a song that I was not familiar with up until recent years. This came out in 2002. The song is called Tears from the Moon from Conjure One, which is a side project of Reese Fulber from the band Delirium and also Frontline Assembly. It's also a cover of the Lunescape song from the same year. It's not a duet, it's full Sinead on vocals. A beautiful, beautiful track. And this, I'm just going to show this since I have it in my hand here, but it's a double record. Sinead, is on the one track and it's on a beautiful sand colored vinyl.
Nice, very nice.
So that is Tears from the Moon. The album is Conjure One, and that is my number 23 pick.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay. You're a musician.
Yeah.
Sinead, a musician. When in her career, collaborating, pairing up with these phenomenal artists, do you think as her career evolved and developed, do you think she was asked more and more or less and less?
I feel like she was probably asked more. Looking at her list of collaborations, and before we sign on, you pulled out your collaborations CD. I think a lot of those date past the early 90s. And then you may bring this up because I know we're both fans of the band James, but you know how she just happened to be in the studio when they were working on the Millionaires album. I think she was visiting Brian Eno, and Tim Booth asked her if she wanted to sing on something. She popped in, and then of course on Vivacious and I Defeat. You hear that beautiful voice in the as a backing singer. So I just think, probably ask more. I mean, a legendary voice. I mean, honestly, one of the greatest voices of all time.
Yeah. And the reason why I asked that is because, I have no connection, no knowledge of this, but as her life became a little bit more periled and troubled, I wonder if it made it more difficult for people to ask to collaborate with her because maybe you never knew what you were going to get. So it was just something I thought about.
Yeah, I think musicians, when you have a love for the art, when you have other people that you respect ask you, musicians want to play, whether you're a singer, whether you're a guitar player, whether you're a bass player. It's a challenge to, I do a lot of collaborations myself, and it's always flattering and exciting to do something out of the scope that what you do on your own.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for letting me ask that question.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Number 22, William.
Number 22. So I was a teacher for 23 years, second, third, fourth, fifth graders. And every day we would listen to a song. The kids would learn the lyrics through the Spotify on the big screen, all that stuff. And this song really captivated the attention of my female students in 2014. And it had a lot of punch and a lot of gusto. So I'm going 22, Dense Water, Deeper Down. It's kind of one of those songs. I love that. There's that rocking out Sinead O'Connor that I love. And there's a couple more down on the list. Just that fist that I've had enough. I don't want to be a doormat. I just want to live the life that I want to live, and I'm just going to bowl people over. And I appreciate that aspect to it, and the video and the album cover artwork and all that stuff. So yeah, that's my 22, Dense Water, Deeper Down. And that version also shows up on here.
Great choice, William. Excellent. I love seeing She Who Dwells. I think it's like a relatively unknown collection in her work, and we're going to be talking about it a lot, and I encourage everyone. It's kind of hard to find, but it should be out there to grab on CD. I know I didn't come across it on streaming sites. But we will be linking songs that are available on YouTube, as I mentioned in the description. So I'm going to go number 22 for me. I'm going to go back to her fourth album, Universal Mother, from 1994, to this little piano waltz, deep album cut, A Perfect Indian. What a lovely, lovely song. Just this album, for a lot of people that, maybe didn't pursue her music after, 1990, I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got, or after Am I Not Your Girl, maybe a lot of people didn't really dig into Universal Mother a whole lot, but I encourage you also to really check this one out. And I would sure love to see this get a vinyl reissue as well. So who's ever watching that maybe have some influence in that, I would love to see Universal Mother get a reissue. I
think you had a recent episode about hopeful reissues. Did you talk about Universal Mother?
I don't think I featured that one, but I have to tell you that I think at least 2 or 3 that I featured, and that was just a few months ago, have gotten reissued. So it would be too soon for that to happen with my influence of doing the video, but yeah, you never know who's watching. So yeah, that's my number 2, 22, A Perfect Indian.
Great lyrics too. Red cheeks and teeth aching, her eyes like a wild Irish sea, on a table in her yellow dress, for a photograph feigned happiness. Yeah, that is a beautiful song.
Yeah.
Okay. 21 for me.
Yep.
Another album that I feel just bypassed, and people just it came and went, and that's kind of how it goes sometimes with artists. And I'm gonna have to say 33 from Theology. 33 from Theology. And I had that album and I moved and I lost it somehow. But there again, it's those tender moments, it's those quieter moments. I'm sure you have seen on YouTube, there was a DVD that came accompanied with that, and there's some really stripped down acoustic versions of those songs. So that's my 21, 33. Yeah, love it.
Great choice, William. I think that Theology album in general, a lot of it passed by a lot, but that came out in 2007. I got it, the 2 CD edition that has the London sessions, which are the more kind of bigger productions, and then the Dublin, which are more stripped down acoustic. There are some real gems on that record, and I listened to it so much when it came out. So Theology is a really great one. Number 21 for me. This is from sadly her final album, 2014's I'm Not Bossy, I'm the Boss. Where Have You Been?
Nice.
I saw darkness where I should have seen light. That song is just I'm going to say this a lot probably in today's video, but it's just goosebumps whenever I hear it. It's another one of those that's just so hard hitting. Where Have You Been? I encourage you, once again, I'm going to say this a bunch. Lots of these albums from later in her career, definitely check these out. So that's my number 21, Where Have You Been?
And again, another album I feel like just was released and people just, okay, well, Sinéad O'Connor, I think maybe that was the time people were starting to learn more about her troubles.
Yeah.
And they were kind of dismissing her as an artist. And I believe she toured for that album, not much, but, and I will ask you a concert question or two.
Yeah.
Great pick. And, okay. All right.
20.
This song is so visceral. It is such a gut punch, and it is why I love her music so much. So when I was putting together and compiling this list, I was looking at the Irish flag. The Irish flag and the green, the orange, and there's finding that peace in the middle. has always been a challenge for her. So my number 20 is from Universal Mother, and that is Red Football.
Mm.
And I particularly love that song based on what I just said. But also, if you notice at the very end when she goes la 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 la, it's almost like a mocking, like a little child to her mother and all the pain and maybe other people that have placed on her. And so I love that little kind of getting back at you moment. So yeah, I'm going Red Football, Universal Mother.
I'm loving the deep cuts here, William. Great choice. Number 20, this is from her 5th album from 2000's Faith and Courage. This track was written by Robert Hodgins of the Scottish band The Bluebells. For those unfamiliar with the Bluebells, Craig Gannon was a guitar player who later joined the Smiths in their later years, known as kind of the Fifth Smith. The song is Hold Back the Night. Super emotional, powerful, beautiful. Hold Back the Night for me, number 20.
That song is spine tingling. So that's the Goosebumps.
Yep.
And that to me defines that Sinead O'Connor moment. And I think it's in the second verse, or maybe it's the first chorus. It just wallops you. And so great, awesome pick. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, number 19 for me. So I bought this when I was at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo college. I'll never forget it. I went to the local record store. Shout out to Boo Boo Records, and I just saw it. I'm like, I didn't know this came out. It's the EP Gospel Oak, and I went home like, wow, this is fabulous. And so He Moved Through the Fair is number 19, and it's almost like the a cappella feeling. There's some of these songs that she has presented over the years, and she just allows her voice to do all the work, and we just absorb it and sponge it all up. So, and I think that song was in the movie Michael Collins, which in a very dramatic scene. So that's why I'm picking it number 19. He Moved Through the Fair, Gospel Oak.
Great pick. Number 19 for me is going to be You Cause As Much Sorrow from her second album, 1990s, I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got. Deep cut on this one, features another one that we lost this year, Andy Rourke, speaking of the Smiths, played bass on that track. I could quote so many lyrics from that song because it's just filled with just so much depth. Those, you were just mentioning those la la la's, I think on Red Football, but on the second chorus of that song, the song is kind of, it's catchy, but the lyrics are really kind of biting. And in the second chorus, at the end of the little phrases, you're that la 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 la.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Which is just,
nice.
I wait for those when they come into it.
Yes.
And you brought up about her mother, and although a lot of the lyrics don't seem to be directed at her mother, there is one line in particular that makes me think perhaps that it was, you cause as much sorrow dead as you did when you were alive. And I'm just speculating on that, but that line is just hard-hitting.
So can you hold up the album cover? Because
Yep.
that's the light in the dark I was talking about. That's the light in the dark. And it's amazing on that album cover. There is more light to be shown there than there is darkness. So I always found that interesting. Does it bother you when you hear people dismiss that album because it became the album and now they don't like it anymore? Does that ever bother you, or do you ever hear that?
I think that's with any artist that achieves what we may think of as mainstream success. I think there's going to be a contingent of people that kind of just dismiss it because a lot of people now know about it. I could have put the whole album on my list. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I know.
So there's the greatness is greatness. I don't care if it's a dance pop song. I tell people this, like, I don't process guilty pleasures or anything like that. I like what I like. I don't care if it's sold 50 million copies. Like, there's some instances there's a reason why it did. In some situations, there's not, but in Sinead, so in that case, if this album gets dismissed for popularity,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's okay. All right, so we are on number 18.
Yes, 18.
Okay, so I'm actually wearing it. And how can we dismiss her work with our homeboy, Shane MacGowan? So sometimes when I hear the song Haunted, it does not leave my head. It's a perfect duet. It's a lovely little pop song. It just seems like two friends respecting that recording in that moment. And so I'm going to number 18, Haunted, with Shane MacGowan.
Incredible choice, William. Incredible. Let's go to my number 18 here. From her 9th album from 2012, How About I Be Me and You Be You? I mean, what a great title. We talked about cover songs in the beginning, about how she took them and ran and made them her own work. Queen of Denmark, the cover of the John Grant song from 2 years before. I'm sure you're familiar with John Grant. His version is excellent. Sung from Sinead's perspective, scathing.
Yes, perfect word.
Intense. I mean, she just breathes just extreme life into that track. It's in that line, I don't know what to want from this world. And then she repeats it, I really don't know what to want from this world, is just another one of those goosebump moments. So Queen of Denmark is my number 18.
With that album, I appreciate it because it definitely has some of those sweeter moments, the kind of the light, airy moments.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the perfect album to listen to headphones and really absorb the acoustics of it, the vocals of it, the lyrics. So I'm glad you picked that. That's a great pick. Thanks. And John Grant from the Czars.
Yes.
What a voice. Okay. I'm going with number 17.
Yes.
Streetcars. Streetcars from I'm Not Bossy. Again, that song has a twinkling piano riff, and it's just, again, using that muscle, those vocal cords, and it's an amazing, I mean, again, a goosebumping feel to it. There's a couple lyrics I want to read here. And I must, and so I will dwell beneath the desert still, for there's no safety to be acquired, riding streetcars named Desire. Isn't that kind of her experience? There's no safety to be acquired. She was always on the precipice of danger, whether it be self-inflicted or other people in part of her life. So yeah, I'm going with the Streetcars, number 17.
Excellent choice, William. Number 17 for me, I'm going to go back to 2003 compilation, She Who Dwells. I don't know what the lineage of this song is. I don't know if it was an outtake from a particular album session. I've research on this one has never produced anything for me. Maybe William, so we'll find out. But big bunch of junky lies. I mean, talking about scathing. I back this up with Queen of Denmark. I mean, if you're unfamiliar with the song, just really calling out someone who was a bad influence to another person, in getting them addicted, and then the person overdosing and dying. And it's just just a letter to that person. Just, acoustic guitar, vocals. It's just intense. Big Bunch of Junkie Lies, 2003.
If I ever had a chance to meet her, I would talk about that would be a conversation piece of addiction and how she dealt with all that stuff. Wow, great pick. Okay, so number 16. I'll grab it. From Faith and Courage.
I see an amoeba sticker.
What'd you say?
I see an amoeba sticker on that.
Faith and Courage. Okay. So in my classroom, I used to have boys versus girls contests, and I'd give them 2 weeks to come in at lunch and rehearse and practice. And sometimes they got to choose the songs, and sometimes I chose for them. In this particular case, because that year I had phenomenal 5th grade vocalists for females, I gave them this song, If You Ever, off Faith and Courage. And I forgot what the boys' song was. And then they competed, and I had a whole criteria spreadsheet and how I scored them. The girls not only sang it beautifully, they had a whole special dance around it. So it became part of my teaching memories in my vault. And that song, to me, there's a repetition within her music that some people get bored with, not me. I just find it going, there's such a resonance to it. And so that's my number 16, If You Ever.
Great choice, great memory. For those watching, and you, William, as well, if anyone hasn't yet noticed, we have not had one of the same songs on both of our lists, which is pretty incredible, which also shows you just not only the vastness of her catalog, I mean, but just the fact that how many great songs that connected with just you and I just separately like this, where we haven't had that crossover until now. Number 16.
Oh my goodness.
Here we go. Haunted.
So
This is from Shane MacGowan from the Pogues and the Popes. This was from The Snake, which came out in 1995. As far as the lineage of that song, the original version was on the Sid and Nancy movie soundtrack back in 1986, and they recut it with Sinead on vocals. And that it's so interesting when you hear the juxtaposition of that duet. Her voice is all angelic, and then it's kind of like an angel and devil type kind of thing. He sounds really kind of sloppy and just kind of almost, it's just a fascinating juxtaposition. And I did a little stint in a cover band years ago, and we actually did Haunted, and I sang the Shane MacGowan vocal part, and it gave me even a deeper appreciation of the song. So I'm glad to see that we both selected Haunted for on our list, but that's number 16 for me.
Number 15, I'm not going to go into much detail because you already did it. And that would be Queen of Denmark. How about I Be Me and You Be You?
Great choice.
It's just, and again, I highly recommend for people to go check it out online on YouTube. There's some beautiful, beautiful sessions, live kind of stuff from that album. So yeah, that's number 15 for me, Queen of Denmark.
Great choice. All right, number 15 for me This was also on, or this was on a movie soundtrack. The I think it came out in 94, film focusing on Ireland, In the Name of the Father. I had this album on CD. I don't have it anymore. I was disappointed to see, but the track is collected on the So Far the Best Of. That is You Made Me the Thief of Your Heart, written by Bono of U2, along with Gavin Friday from the Virgin Prunes and Gavin's longtime collaborator, Maurice Caesar. It's a beautiful vocal performance, great song, those Celtic fiddles, the huge beat to it all. It is a killer song. I had it on blast on the turntable this morning, and it's just enormous. And that other track from the soundtrack, the one that In the Name of the Father, that Gavin Friday sang.
Gavin Friday, yes.
Yeah, oh my God, that track as well. So I need to get that soundtrack again, and I need to see the movie because it's been a long time. So that's number 15 for me. You Made Me the Thief of Your Heart.
That song, coupled with some of those scenes in that movie, still very indelible. It left a great impression in my mind. But you nailed it. That drop when those drums kick in.
Oh. Yes.
That's one of the Sinead moments, right? That's what I was alluding to earlier. Okay, number 14.
Yes.
I'm going to go with a fan favorite here, because this was kind of my intro into her world, and that's from The Lion and the Cobra, Mandinka. There was a radio station here in the Bay Area that was what I felt to be ahead of its time, very alternative. It's called Live 105, and they used to roll that song out all the time. And I just remember, wow, who is this? What is going on here? Nothing like it. And I know that album is highly, highly celebrated, as it should be. And did you ever see the documentary that came out just recently?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing compares. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. It's fascinating, kind of on her opinions of these songs and those times. But yeah, that's my number 14.
Great choice. We had gotten played on Live 105 in San Francisco, one of the Audra songs, years ago. So it's good to hear you mention what Live 105. I immediately thought, oh yes, I recognize that from our playlist back then.
Very cool.
All right, I'm going to go with number 14. You already talked about this record a little while ago, from Theology from 2007. As I mentioned before, it's a double disc, the one I have anyways, that has London sessions, which are more bigger productions, and then the Dublin, which are more stripped down. Some of the songs are repeated on both, but then they have some different songs between the two discs on this one. But the song that I'm going to go with is the opening track on the London side, and that is Something Beautiful. Talking about goosebumps. Okay, there is a part in that song where she sings, "They dress the wounds of my poor people as though they're nothing." And when she says poor people, there's this drop in breath that I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And when she does that drop of breath, it makes me feel like the floor fell out, like I'm gonna collapse. And you can barely keep it together because it's such an emotional breaking point as to what she's singing about. And then just that breath she does, how much more emotional it makes what she says at that moment. And whenever that song starts, I just tunnel vision and I wait for it just to feel that. And I've listened to that several times while we were preparing for this video, and I'm a music teacher, so I made the mistake of listening to it right as I was about to start a lesson. And so when I got on camera, I was a little choked up going to start it, but it's incredible. Something Beautiful is my number 14 pick.
I'm glad you're mentioning the London sessions. And I remember when I was in London when that album was released in June. They had a huge billboard down in the tube station, and I bought that thing immediately. And yeah, great pick. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm gonna go number 13, lucky 13. I'm gonna go to I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got, and that is Three Babies. I don't know what I can add to the song that hasn't been shared by the public, but I think it's again one of those Sinead moments. It's the quiet, it's the stillness and the darkness. It's the attention to her weapon, and I mean that in a positive way, her weapon being her voice. When you see that in a live fashion, I think it has even greater resonance to it. And my blood and my bones, I wrapped her cold bodies around me. I'm not going to sing that part. The face on you, the smell of you will always be with me. So yeah, she taps in some very primal feelings. There's a lot of pathos in her music that I love. So that's my number 13, Three Babies.
Excellent choice from an amazing album.
Yeah.
All right, number 13. Closing track from Universal Mother.
Oh.
Thank You for Hearing Me, which was the first single from Universal Mother. You talked about the documentary that came out, I think it was last year. Those of you watching, if you haven't seen that documentary, please do. I think it gives you just incredible insight into her work and in her life. But this song, there's a line in particular that just, it's at the end of the song. Oh, and about that documentary, from what I remember, is this song is actually playing over the ending scene in the movie, the closing credits, I think. And it's like, I think of U2 in their early years, they used to close their sets with the song 40, and the crowd would kind of walk away from the venue kind of singing it.
Chanting it, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for hearing. That's what that moment felt like to me at the end of the documentary. But she says, thank you for breaking my heart. Thank you for tearing me apart. Now I've a strong, strong heart. Thank you for breaking my heart. I mean, every verse of that one, just like, it hits you incredibly deeply. But that part in itself is always just like, wow. 13, Thank You for Hearing Me.
So I see on your back there, you have the DVD.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That version live at Vicar Street. I mean, it will stop you in your tracks. And remember, I alluded to this earlier. There's the repetition in some of her songs, and that song is very repetitive. I'm no musician, but the structure of it seems pretty simple. That bass line just repeats itself, but that bass line is a phenomenal character in the song. And it just builds and builds and builds. And I had learned that song was all about Peter Gabriel and her relationship.
Right.
So that song, it never overboils, but it takes you into her experience. And I'd have to think Alanis Morissette was a little inspired for her thank you song. So yeah, I love those lyrics, and great pick. And what a great way to end an album, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So that was
we're to 12 now.
Number 12. I'm going to go back. You had mentioned it. Hold Back the Night. I wish we could play some of these songs and, right now. Hold Back the Night. When I first heard that song after I bought the album, I was driving around San Francisco. I bought the album from Amoeba, and I pulled over. It was when I was like, what this is beyond anything I was expecting. Hold Back the Night. So that's number 12 for me. This album, again, like so much of her later work, people dismiss it for whatever reason, but there some of her best vocal work, and you start to see the transition into her her Rastafarian feel and flavor. So yeah, I love it. Number 12, Hold Back the Night.
Incredible choice. Happy to see that on appear on both of our lists. Number 12, from Gospel Oak, the 1997 EP, the only single, the opening track, This Is to Mother You. Comforting, a lullaby. I listened to that song so much when I felt like I was going through some emotional struggles. That song just feels like a like therapy in a way. It's a beautiful track. This Is to Mother You, my number 12 pick.
Have you heard the Mary J. Blige version that she did with Sinead for that track? I think it was some charity thing.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard it now that you mention it.
Check it out. Be interested to see what you think of it.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal EP.
Mm.
And there was a live PBS sessions focusing on those songs, and you can find that on YouTube. Beautiful stuff.
I had to I had this and I lent it to someone, and when I went looking for it, I realized that it was missing, and I went and rebought it just so I could show this in the video. Well, just to have it in my collection also. I was so disappointed when I saw it was missing. I was like, I know I have that. I remember buying it. Where is it? So I rebought it.
And again, some of her best vocal work.
Number 11.
So I'm going to go back to the classroom. I like to challenge my students with learning new songs. These are students that are more familiar with Katy Perry's of the world, Taylor Swift's. So when I did this song, I told them, I said, okay, boys, get ready. You're going to start learning how to harmonize. And I know nothing about this stuff. In fact, I went to the music teacher and I said, okay, I want you to help me teach this song to him. And so this was from Universal Mother. And there's the a cappella, In This Heart. Mm. And I'm glad before she passed, she'd been playing this song in her sets, and just stunning, breathtaking work. Yeah, number 11 for me, In This Heart.
Excellent choice. Okay, number 11. From the second album, The Last Day of Our Acquaintance. The production and the arrangement of that song, and we were talking about Thank You for Hearing Me a little while ago, and kind of similar to that in that it starts off just kind of more stripped down, and then the band kicks in and it just kind of takes it from there. Well, that song starts off and you're turning up the volume so you can hear that first verse because it starts off so delicate. And obviously the song is, about a separation, a divorce, and kind of ending a relationship. And then once again, when the band kicks in, it's explosive, and it's a punch to the gut. I think you used that term earlier. It is seriously such a hard-hitting song, and I'm sure was an incredible live song for her as well. The Last Day of Our Acquaintance, that's my number 11.
You can go on to YouTube and watch some of those amazing versions. In fact, there is one from that PBS sessions. I've watched it 1,000 times over. So did you ever see her perform live?
I was just about to ask you that. I did some research. The answer is no, unfortunately. I looked up, I don't know if you use the setlist site as a reference to ever look up kind of concert lineage. And I looked up to see, because I've kept up on tour dates of all the artists that I've liked. According to my research, she only came to Phoenix once, and that was in 1990 for her second album. And she played at Gamage Auditorium, which was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, and that's where I went to school. I had a class in that building, and that's the only time she played in Phoenix, according to it. And I never traveled anywhere to go see her. So what about you?
One time, and that was at the Warfield in San Francisco. That was 1999, 2000. Maybe it might have been for the Faith and Courage. And when so that's her anthem, right? People are going to talk about obviously the Prince song, understandably so, but to me, this is her anthem. This is the unification of this brutal song that so many people can relate to. Let's not forget about how relatable these lyrics can be, which is why it's like this intense burn. So yeah, that's there's nothing like that song. Great pick. All right, for me, so we are going to
Top
number
10, right?
10.
Yeah.
Number 10. All right, gotta grab it. I'm going back to that album. And I believe a band that you and I both fully appreciate did a version of this song. I am Stretched on Your Grave. It's almost 6 minutes long, right? And it just, everything about it, from the music to the lyrics to, again, the repetition. I know I keep repeating myself, but it's very few artists can be repetitive and still be so relevant within the structure of a song, the composition, the arrangements. And that song, to me, and then when you see it live, when you see her perform it live, and then she goes off and does her little dance, it just adds so much more flavor to it. So that's my number 10.
Great choice. And just for those of you watching, William's referring to Dead Can Dance, the band. And just a little plug here that I had just recently did an album ranking along with Dead Can Dance drummer Peter Ulrich. So if you're interested in checking out that video, I'll leave a link for that as well. Excellent choice, William. Great song. Number 10. From the debut, The Lion and the Cobra, Jerusalem. This album came out in 1987. What I love about this song is the verses have this funkiness to them, this kind of funk groove, the guitars. And then when it goes into the chorus, and I use this word again, the angelic vocal part. It's an amazing vocal performance. And obviously one of my 10 favorite Sinead songs. So Jerusalem.
What was the deal with the album cover? I feel like there was some controversy around.
Yeah, well, I think what you're thinking of is the US. So the original UK, so obviously mine's the US. The original UK had her kind of mouth open like she was screaming. And what I remember is they deemed that too intense for the US market. So they chose another photo from the session that looked more gentle, apparently. Obviously, it's a beautiful cover in itself, but just one of those weird things that record labels deem being, I don't know if they do a focus group and see which cover you prefer and then decide. But yeah, just one of those weird things.
And talk about, I'm sure you've done this somewhere with friends, like great number 3 track. There you go. Jerusalem. That is a great number 3 track. Okay. I'm going to go number 9. And it's on that live at Vicker Street. I think she opens up the show with it. And it's from Shanos Noah. And it is a cappella again, and it's Molly Malone. Just people, just go and watch it. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The video, if I remember, is kind of like Nothing Compares to You, an extreme close-up on that challenged face of hers, that experienced face. And so Molly Malone is my number 9.
Great choice. Number 9, this had made an appearance on your list a while back, also from The Lion and the Cobra, Mandinka. I mean, just from the musical standpoint, at the bass and the drums, it's a great track. An amazing vocal performance. There's a version of her playing it, I'm sure you've watched it, where she's performing on the David Letterman show, doing that song. And, you know, back then on David Letterman, you remember where, I don't know if it was some sort of like musicians union thing where the full band who was on couldn't play all the instruments. So it had to be the house band had to play, you know, so you have the drummer of David Letterman's the guitar player and the bass player. So it looks kind of out of place. And there's Sinead, and she's really quiet and reserved. And then her mouth opens and you're just like, wow. It's a really interesting performance. So if you haven't seen it, those of you watching, check out the David Letterman performance of Mandinka. I remember I have I'm sure you remember 120 Minutes on MTV on Sunday night.
That was my church.
Yes, Never Mind the Mainstream. Remember that compilation that came out back then?
Yes.
Mandinka was on that, along with obviously some incredible songs from that great era of music back then. So that's my number 9 pick, Mandinka from The Lion and the Cobra.
Number 8. Got to go back to this one. So I used to play tennis in high school. And whenever I was losing, I need to find some grit, some gumption, some way to figure out to scratch and claw. And for whatever reason, this song was my go-to song in my head that helped me win some games and make a good comeback. And that is Emperor's New Clothes. When I was driving home yesterday on the Bay Bridge, the last 2 minutes, it's glorious. It sparkles, it shines, it shimmers. And that video, classic MTV video, where she's just kind of particularly losing it in that outro. So I'm going Emperor's New Clothes. And when you see that song live, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Number 8. The Emperor's New Clothes. I love when this happens, William. And man, I'm going to talk about high school here. So this came out in 1990. I imagine I was either in junior or senior in high school. And coming home, MTV, that video was on. It was on all the time. And that also has Andy Rourke on bass from the Smiths. It's an incredible track. It's one of my most listened to, even though there's going to be 7 songs before this. That is truly, I mean, truly one of my absolute favorite songs, as being referenced here in the top 10, but also one of my most listened to songs. I think I would listen to it also for that kind of upbeat feel that it has, in that drum intro with that weird sound in there, that they could have easily edited down and cut it in half. But every time, I love how extended that beat goes before the song kicks in. The music video will always be burned into my brain just because I saw it so much back then. But I'm very happy to see it. And that was the 3rd single from I Do Not Want. So yeah, we lined up there, William, with Emperor's New Clothes at number 8.
I'm so thankful that she decided, you know what, do not cut this. Let's keep Again, that repetition going, and let people feel the music rather than my voice. Love it. Okay, number 7. Well, I was listening to this song a while ago, and this is the force of nature. This is the talented artist woman that really had no regard for people at times. And I don't mean that in a pejorative manner. It's just like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I always want to know, like, what was her relationship with her father? And so there's a song off Faith and Courage. And that is Daddy, I Love You. And it's like this animal is unleashed, this feral animal in London at the time, just letting it all loose. I will avoid using expletives here, but just said I ain't gonna go to school no more because I want to see look cool and I want to look good with my hair slicked back and my black leather boots. Want to stand up tall, blah blah blah, and feel real hot with my makeup's nice, blah 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 blah. It's just ownership of that identity. And I can just imagine that she had those moments. It's like, all right, I'm just going to go out and have fun. And so that is my number 7, Daddy, I Love You. Visceral, powerful.
Great choice.
A lot of muscle.
Great choice. Number 7 for me. Great song. And her collaborators on this are just outstanding. The song is called Heroine, theme from Captive. This predates her first album, The Lion and the Cobra, 1986, on the soundtrack to the movie Captive. I can think it was a French film, but the soundtrack was done by The Edge from U2. Collaborating with Michael Brook, who, I don't know, William, if you're familiar with Michael Brook, but
infant guitar.
Yes, you are, obviously. Yes. So Michael Brook has participated in he performed on Peter Murphy's Cascade as well, but the Sleeps with the Fishes album with Michael Brook and Peter Newton from Clan of Zymox is a great record, which came out the year after this, 1987, on 4 AD. Larry Mullen Jr. from U2 also plays drums on this. So you have a young Sinead on vocals. It is an incredible performance. You hear those signature chiming guitar notes from The Edge. And it is a wonderful track. I think this is also, yes, it is on the best of as well, because this is pretty uncommon. The movie is very obscure. But you can hear it on her best of. Heroine, my number 7 pick.
That soundtrack, it reminds me of Peter Weir music, or what Maurice Jarre he used to hire. There's a lot of ambient tracks to that. There's some haunting noises and sounds, and then you get that track. So
yeah.
Pick. Awesome. Okay. Number 6. Again, an album lost in a move, and that's from The Lion and the Cobra. Just Call Me Joe. It was a song I liked, but didn't think more beyond that. And I remember it was later, as I got deeper into her work, it took on a different meaning for me, and it is one of my favorite Sinead O'Connor songs of all time. And it's number 6 for me.
Great choice.
Yeah.
Once again, we haven't had a whole lot of overlap on our list, so we're covering a really good variety of the catalog here. This is excellent to see. Number 6 for me, I know I showed this maybe 4 times before, but also from the 2003 compilation, She Who Dwells. It has a really long title. I'm truncating that. But once again, when I talk about her covering other people's songs and making it her own, this is another really striking example of that. When I got this compilation, I listened to this song over and over again. It is called It's All Good. It's a cover of a Irish singer Damien Dempsey song in which Sinead sang backing vocals, and his version was released in the same year. It was his album was produced by John Reynolds, who was Sinead's first husband and collaborator, drummer. Collaborated all the way to, I think, even on her last couple of records as well. It's All Good is an outstanding song. It is one of my absolute most listened to Sinead O'Connor tracks as well. I encourage you to check it out. It's All Good from She Who Dwells.
I want to go back and change some of these songs on the list. Oh man. Okay. I'm not gonna waste people's time here, but I'm looking at the vinyl. I have the vinyl over here. So we're at number 5.
Mm-hmm.
And this is off an album called Mind Bomb. And this is Kingdom of Rain. You know, I know you know this, Brett, and I know your fans, your listeners probably know this. There are songs that it can start with the opening notes, chords, whatever it is. You don't even have to, you can just close your eyes and you think of phenomenal imagery, whether you're in sitting on a beach, whether you're in a deep, dark forest, whatever it may be. And that song to me is, it could be 90 degrees out and I'm thinking dark, sterile, cold London clouds and a lot of smoke. So I'm going with Kingdom of Rain, Mind Bomb, Matt Johnson, the.
Wow, great choice. All right. We're number 5 for me. Nothing compares to you.
Yeah.
Has to be represented. I know we were talking about Emperor's New Clothes, high school. That song, I still have these music videos that I recorded on VHS tape. And I remember that year, the rundown of the best music videos, and Nothing Compares to You was, I think, number 1, battling it out with MC Hammer's You Can't Touch This. I think it was from the same year. Wow. Okay. So the second single from I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got. Obviously, everyone knows that it was written by Prince. It was recorded and released. Prince was incredibly prolific. And, he started these little offshoot bands to just kind of release work. And he put together this band called The Family in 1985. And the original version of that song is on that. That song would have most likely been relegated as a forgotten deep cut on this album until Sinead O'Connor got her hands on it. And talking about a reimagined, bringing out a level of emotional intensity to those words and that melody, no one else could have done that in this case. It is, she made it her own, immortalized that song. So it is just now synonymous with her name. Okay. Number 5, Nothing Compares to You.
And how many people can pull off a video like that with the extreme close-up and pulling out and then shedding of the tears?
Mm-hmm.
It's no, I mean, I don't know anyone that has done anything since that time. And I remember that song so well, like for so many people, that album, along with Gold Afternoon Fix by The Church, those were my 2 big 1990 albums. And yeah, that
was the soundtrack of incredibly relatable high school heartbreak.
Got it.
You know, it's so powerful, and can you believe that that's 33 years ago?
That's insane.
Just a phenomenal song and a phenomenal vocal performance.
Number 4 for me, right here.
Ooh.
There's a record store in Reno. I walked in there, and he and I got along immediately, and I had a U2 shirt on. And then somehow we got talking about Peter Gabriel. And I said, "Did you ever see him?" And he said, "Yes, I actually saw him for the US tour." And I said, "Was that the tour that Sinead O'Connor did the duet with him?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "So you saw Blood of Eden performed?" And he said, "Yeah, nobody knew that was coming." So number 4 for me is Blood of Eden with Peter Gabriel. It encapsulates so much of the two of them and what this album represents: the heartache, the pain, the tragedy of romance, the separation. I think was with the actress. I think a lot of this album was about. And then when you hear both of them working, what they do so well is using that voice to emote. So this for me, Blood of Eden from Peter Gabriel, Us album.
Great choice, and that's
Number 4.
a hard to find record there on vinyl.
It's a goodie.
Great choice, William.
Thank you.
All right, number 4. Troy. The debut single from her debut album, The Lion and the Cobra. You used the word primal before. That's what I wrote down. It's a primal vocal performance. And I think we talked about the documentary, Nothing Compares. That shed no pun intended, that shedded a whole lot of light on that song, and the emotional weight of it. And I think in her passing, a lot of these songs have, even listening back through the whole catalog, as I have a couple times over to prepare for this video, they take on even more emotional weight. And in that documentary, when we found out that her mom would lock her out, make her sleep outside in the garden, and that line about you should have left the light on, when her mom would turn the lights off in the house and she'd be stuck out there in the cold, sleeping in the grass or whatever. I mean, what an incredible song. And also the fact that that was her first single.
Yes.
It's kind of a masterpiece. Number 4, Troy.
I'm going to slip in a question for you, Brett.
Yeah.
I know it's a pretty obvious question, possibly with even more obvious answer. If she did not have such a historically challenged upbringing, I wonder how different her music would be.
Oh, I think it probably dramatically different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you don't want to see anyone. Well, I guess, in these types of situations, we have the music.
Right.
We have the music to kind of learn, reflect on kind of, someone's life as kind of guidance as to how they lived, and how they, I don't even know what to say. We wouldn't have the same body of work.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the yin and the yang, right? That is the duality, if you will, of her career. Okay. Number 3. I'm going to go back to this album.
You gotta. Yeah.
I've been to so many places in my life where I've heard this song, and one thing I always remind myself is when it gets to the big anthemic moment, we got to pump up the volume. And of course, I'm talking about Last Day of Our Acquaintance. I said it earlier in this event that if you can find just go on YouTube and type in the song and type in PBS session. It's the best version out there. And there's a guitarist, I forgot his name. I feel like there's a nod or a tribute to Cocteau Twins, and that's all I'm going to say. So it's a breathtaking version of the song. I don't want to elaborate on it anymore because I think you did it beautifully, and I think people are very familiar with it, but that's my number 3.
It's an incredible choice, and well deserved to be as your number 3. Okay, number 3 for me. This for me is a perfect song. It's hopeful. The Wolf is Getting Married, from her second to last album, 2012. How About It Be Me and You Be You. What I love about this song is there's this little guitar theme that you hear in the intro, and you hear it throughout the song. And that melody, dun, 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 she eventually sings it. And when she puts lyrics and vocals to it,
yeah,
perfection. The sun's peeping out of the sky where there used to be only gray. The wolf is getting married and he'll never cry again. But that little, what she sings over that little guitar theme is this little line that is incredibly emotional. Even if something terrible is happening, you laugh, and that's the thing I love about you most. It's a hopeful song. It's absolutely beautiful. The Wolf is Getting Married. That is my number 3 pick. One of my most listened to Sinead songs.
She's so observant in her experiences with people and able to capture that and kind of put that back out in the universe through her music. What an amazing quality about her. Okay, 2 more.
Yes.
So, when you go to a record store and you're just thumbing, you're like, yeah, I'm not finding anything. And then you find something, it takes your breath away, and it probably bothers the person next to you because you explode with this little giddiness.
Mm-hmm.
This song has been part of my life for a very, very, very long time, but it wasn't until 1994 that it was the song of the year for me. And I'm going to have to go with Heroin, The Edge. She's Sinead O'Connor from the movie Captive. And I found this at Amoeba. It's the B-side's got the mix 2, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And underneath all that rage, all that vitriol experience with The Edge and Michael Brook, the reason why this song stands out to me so much is that it gave me a glimpse into what she could do vocally. But you couple that with that shimmering guitar work, there's nothing that beats it. And so when I found this, I had, I think the person next to me jumped like 3 feet because I let out a big loud yawp.
Before you showed it, I was hoping that's what it was going to be. So it's great to see it. I don't have that on vinyl, so I'm so happy to see you show that. I would have gasped as well if I would have pulled that out.
And again, it's still a song most people are unfamiliar with,
Mm-hmm.
and it is on this one.
Yeah, and I think it's on this. So I think it's on this so far the best of.
Did you see Bono's tweet?
I don't. Yeah, it is on the best of too. I did not.
He references this song to her when she passed. So I don't know if you're on Twitter, check it out. So yeah, Heroin from the movie Captive. That is my number 2, and it's just glorious.
Obviously, great choice there. Number two for me, I'm going to preface this by saying when I started together my list, I just put this at number one because I just think of this as my favorite Sinead O'Connor song. But obviously I'm putting something else above it. And I think that is happening because I think the song in particular, her death put it in a new perspective for me, and it kind of changed it. But my number two favorite is a song that that I've performed several times acoustically, and that is Black Boys on Mopeds. Acoustic guitar, her backing vocals, talking about production and arrangement. The backing vocals on this occur during the chorus, and it's just her singing some just these gentle notes in the background, which give the illusion, if you're just kind of listening, not really focused on it, that it might be like a synth part in the background, but it's just her voice. So it's acoustic guitar and vocals with her creating this harmony in the background. Once again, it's a perfect song. Lyrically, it's an incredibly sad song. But one of my all-time favorite Sinead O'Connor songs, probably the one I have listened to absolutely the most. Black Boys on Mopeds from I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got.
And it still holds up so well after all these years, like
Absolutely.
so many songs from that album. And I think that for that one I struggled with not putting on the list. So
Yeah.
okay.
This is number one, William?
This is number one. So before we started this, we had talked about albums that should be reissued on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine some record companies now going to get a hold of this and start, oh yeah, we're going to start releasing this stuff. And Universal Mother, which actually, if I had to pick a favorite album, that is my favorite album. To me, it's the Peter Murphy Cascade album. It's the one that I feel, and I don't pick it because it gets overlooked, but I feel like it says a little bit more, maybe because it has more tracks, maybe the songs are longer, I'm not sure. But I'm going to go with Universal Mother. And I believe this is your 12 or 13th song. I could be wrong.
I think it was 13. Yeah, I know what it's going to be. Yeah.
So how did I pick Thank You for Hearing Me? It's the track, where Spotify, lists like the number one song you've listened to the most for that year. This is the song that I've listened to the most out of all of her songs. Why? I think it's because of the live performance. I think it says everything you need to know about her highly afflicted life. I think she's able to go into that light in the dark that I was alluding to earlier. I love that bass line and how it's repetitive, and I feel like it's just another character in a movie, if you will, that is very important. And when I first heard it, I remember sitting here going, oh, when is there going to be a Sinead moment? Is there going to be that moment? Because it slowly builds. It never overstays its welcome. And in the live versions, she really hits those ascending notes and takes it to that cathedral level. And it's a song that and I'm glad you brought this up earlier. When you see the documentary and when you hear the synth swells emerge, that is goosebumps right there, and it kind of takes your breath away. So that is my number one. Thank You for Hearing Me. And I'm so glad it's the closing track. And I don't know if you notice, because a lot of people probably just hit stop, but let the last 20, 30 seconds, like this ocean wave sound. So yeah, universal mother. And I hope they do a reissue on this.
Yeah, for sure. I had an inkling this was going to be your number one, William. I think that, obviously the vast catalog we've covered between the two of us in excess of 40 songs, that we've had a few crossovers. But on the day where Sinead's passing was announced, I noticed that you chose to post this song as a kind of a tribute. So that was kind of a tell there. But obviously an incredible choice for a number one. All right. Number one for me. Yeah. So, we obviously haven't gotten full news on, the circumstances behind her death, but this song took on a whole kind of it was the second I heard it when it came out, it was really emotionally heavy. Now it's like 2 times that. I don't want to cry no more. I don't want to die no more. So cut me down from this here tree, cut the rope from off of me, set me on the floor. I'm the only one I should adore. From her last album, I'm Not Bossy, I'm the Boss. Take me to church.
Yes.
It is.
Wow.
It is once again, we're going to keep saying that. This is the song that I've listened since the announcement of her passing. I played this song many, many times. It obviously it took the number one spot. Her, knowing Sinead's story and following her career, we know about the public association with the church and all of that, but and how that was continued to be part of her career and what people relate to the SNL moment. But in that line, take me to church, but not the one that hurts. It's so emotionally heavy. It is an incredible song, and the hope that she says about wanting to live in those lyrics, and how I'm the only one I should adore, like, that kind of take care of myself, just hits really hard in her passing. So that is my number one from her final album.
Whew. That actually, and I can see why that is your number one. And I think that song could get lost in the sense that it has like that big pop
Yeah.
to it. But I'm glad this is one thing I've always appreciated about your events, your shows. I love how you tackle and go inside the lyrics and how that adds so much more value and weight and gravity for you with these musicians and their songs. So I appreciate that. I'm going to leave just with this thing I wrote about Sinead, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
I've been writing a little bit of poetry and just sharing, just trying to work on words, and you're a musician trying to capture what you want to say. Sinead's voice is a chemical warhead. Sinead's voice is a hostile viper. Sinead's voice is a child hiding from a vitriolic parent. Sinead's voice is a prize-winning punch to the abdomen. Sinead's voice is a melting glacier. So however people absorb her work, it's all subjective, right? But I think there's something within her work that is so universally appealing, and that is the ability to go inside of ourselves and ask of ourselves those truly difficult feelings and questions that we should be doing more of, and how therapeutic that can be. And her therapy, as we were the the people sitting on the couch, if you will, listening, that's all in her work. So I just want to end on that.
Thanks for sharing that, William. Excellent. Well said. Yeah, it's we're left with an incredible body of work. As we kind of prefaced in the beginning, I hope you guys watching will kind of be inspired by some of the discourse from William and I. Hopefully that there's a lot of tracks that maybe you were unfamiliar with that you can check out and discover. There's so many gems in the catalog, so be sure to check out the links for those playlists. I encourage you to follow William's channel, High Art on the Edge, for upcoming content on his videos, Facebook and YouTube. I'll leave a link for that. William, thank you again. This has been an incredible discussion. It was great to reflect on this body of work from, as I mentioned, one of my all-time favorite singers, just an amazing voice, an amazing songwriter. And yeah, thanks again, William. I appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. Be sure to check out those links in the description, and look forward to interacting with you in the comments. Be sure to leave us a list of your favorite Sinead O'Connor songs as well. And we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, everyone.